Everybody put in so much work over this year, last year, getting prepared for this, right? Because there's companies out there that will do the work for you. And we looked into one. Now you're going to pay a pretty penny for it. But we sat back and said, we can do the work ourselves. You know, it's going to be a lot of work, but we're going to have to do it ourselves.
Welcome back, viewers, watchers, listeners. I'm your host, Tyler Owen. Got a guest host on today, the man, the myth, the legend, otherwise known as Curly, but his last name is Kurylowicz, right? David Kurylowicz.
Yes, sir.
That's how you spell it. But field rep in Central Texas. Clint McNear was unable to make it today, feeling a little under the weather. And if you're as much as he travels and blows and goes, you know, some days you just got to take a day off and sit back and watch a little Netflix it. So we brought on Round Rock POA, which falls within David's territory. David, you've been a field rep with Tmpa how long?
4 years.
4 years.
4 years, actually, this month.
Is when the madness started.
Yes.
But
I like to think that that's when the magic started.
That's when the magic started. Hang on just 1 second. We got a little microphone mishap. All right. Oops, sorry.
Is that better?
That's way better. Yeah.
Okay.
So talk about, man, since you've come on board with TMP, we like to highlight our field reps and talk about what you guys do day in, day out. You guys are really the backbone, kind of like the patrol, right, of TMPA. And talk about what's going on in your region. Talk about, how things are going. You've recently had a central, I don't want to call it just a Wilco meeting, but you had you kind of generated a centralized meeting place for all your POA presidents. And talk about what's going on with David.
Yeah, that went out really well. What really was a focus was getting all of the POAs together to kind of network and work together when it comes to doing contract negotiations or just actually reaching out and helping each other out. One of the biggest benefits of that is getting the boards of all the POAs in one place so they can exchange ideas and talk to each other and kind of just network. And out of that, we had my colleague here, my Round Rock president, was one of the stars of that meeting. So
I wouldn't go that far.
No.
You wouldn't go that far. Yeah. You know what's interesting to me is us being across the state. Now, David, you service from Waco down to damn near Hays County, and then east and west is what's kind of your boundaries for your zone.
All the way out from College Station, all the way out to San Angelo.
Okay.
So
it used to be all the way to the Panhandle in El Paso.
Yeah.
And sometimes, let's just call it what it is. Sometimes with different personalities, look, let's just call it what it is also, is that sometimes it's best if you handle a situation in certain regions. And but that's kind of your region, and you're here in Central Texas. But what's cool to me is the way that TMPA operates. And it seems like it's a common deal is that majority of the agencies have most common bitches and gripes, right? Oh, yeah. It's going to deal, we just talked about this. It's going to deal with, cops want to have better uniforms. They want to have better equipment, and they want to have different schedules. And so it's kind of unique, and it's pretty cool to see it from a bird's eye view of kind of all the different facets that we've got going on. But anything going on with any contract negotiations going on right now in your region, or is there anything kind of popping off? You're also a part of the Peace Officer Memorial board.
Yes, sir.
And so you're a part of the planning of that, the execution of that. So on behalf of TMPA and all the cops in Texas, I want to say thank you, because it is a lot of work.
It's interesting, and it's a labor of love.
I like that. Never heard of that before. Labor of
love. It's the least I could do to give back.
Yeah.
And try and help the families. But you mentioned contracts, so let me start with that. In our region, we had 4 contracts going about the same time, and that was one of the big reasons I wanted to get all of the POAs together to talk about that, so they can kind of bounce ideas and help each other off of that. But contracts are a big deal. Knowing what to negotiate for, when to negotiate, when to push back. We're going to get into it a little bit with how things were going with Round Rock, and some of the things that I see typical in the contracts. Associations are focused on what's going on in their world, and what's nice about working with TMPA and having that exposure is I see patterns from city managers across the state, and where a POA is going to think that, well, this is the last best final. We don't have any more wiggle room. TMPA can bring that experience and say, this is what worked in the past, and this is if we hold firm here and move a little bit forward here, I think we can get some movement. And in this case, it worked out really well with a lot of the associations, Georgetown, Round Rock, Cedar Park to a smaller extent. And things are progressing with Leander, and some of the other smaller locals are actually looking to them for guidance. Liberty Hill, for instance, is looking out to them. And I've gotten a lot of, requests, I guess, from allied agencies around the area to reach out and talk to you.
Well, and the cool thing is that, like me being from East Texas, I wouldn't even know where to begin with a contract, honestly. Right. And that's what's cool about it, is I know that David's got big experience with dealing with kind of contracts. Other field reps, JP Rodriguez is another one, and some other guys there in the southeast portion of Texas. But that's what's cool about being a part of TMPA, not just with the field rep side, but even our board of directors. We can shoot an email out, and it goes to 32 different people from across the state, and you will get an answer. I promise you. It may not be the answer you want, but you will get an answer. And that's what the cool thing is that I will tell you right now, contract negotiations, not my forte, not my experience, never been a part of it. Not saying I don't want to, but I'm saying if I'm forced to, I will. But that's the cool thing, is having experience such as David right here in Central Texas, and you're good at it, and you enjoy doing it. So, hey, hats off, because it sounds like you've been pretty successful. And not saying that you were a part of it at the beginning or at the end, but our neighbors to the south of us here are actually right here in Austin. Yesterday was the official day of them signing their contract. Right. So
yes.
Congratulations, APA, on a much-needed, deserved contract. Hopefully the pendulum is swinging back to normal here in the Keep Austin Weird type situation it is. So time will tell. But anyway, man, welcome to Blue Grit. I appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Well, let's kick off with kind of how you got started in law enforcement, how you picked Round Rock PD, or if you have any other previous law enforcement experience, and talk about how your career kind of has progressed with Round Rock.
Yeah. So, a lot of people always talk about they knew as a child, like they wanted to be a police officer. That was not me, but when I was 18, I did a ride along.
Hooked.
Yep. And got into a pursuit that night, and after that, it was like, this is what I wanted.
What agency was it with?
And that was with Elgin PD. I grew up out in Elgin.
That's right.
So, 2004, put myself through the academy through CapCog, the night academy. I worked in Austin 7 to 4, and then I'd go to class at night 6 to 10.
Now, just so they're clear, because some people that listen to the podcast they work at big ass agencies, they don't understand kind of the realization. Myself, I put myself through it. Mm-hmm. Explain that, because you didn't have to be sponsored back then in order to attend. So talk about that.
Yeah, so
that's new for me as well.
Yeah, and that's still an option now. You pay your way through the academy. You sign up and you test through CapCog. You're accepted. They give you a list of items that you need to pay for through the academy. There is no support from anyone else. You're paying for your test, your uniforms, your gun, your ammo. If you need a vehicle for the driving, you have to pay to rent a vehicle, whatever it is. So there's no sponsorship there.
Yeah.
Everything is coming out of your own pocket. So did that, graduated the academy in June of 2005. And I got on with Bastrop County Sheriff's Office. Worked out there 05 till 2013. And while out there, I was on patrol for a little while. I did property crimes for 2 months.
Beautiful area.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful area.
I love working
area.
out there. I worked where I learned so much because at that time, it's a smaller sheriff's office. So you kind of handled a lot of calls from your small criminal mischiefs. But if there was a homicide, you're working that scene with that detective that gets called out there. Nice. And at that time, when I first started, we didn't have a crime scene unit.
You didn't have, no, no.
Process. And it's probably similar stuff out in East Texas,
Oh, yeah.
Did property crimes for a couple months, and not for me. I seriously considered
Really?
going back to patrol. I hated it. But I was young, too, right?
And it's a sheriff's office. And for those that don't know, if you've ever worked for a sheriff's office here in Texas, it is very political in the mindset of you walk in, you're working on a big case, and the sheriff walks in, and it just so happens that person may be a donor, right, to the campaign funds. So you need to handle this right now. Sometimes it happens within police departments, but the realization of the sheriff's office is that's just reality, and you got to deal with it. So I can understand that.
Yeah, for sure. So then I had the opportunity to go to narcotics. So I moved over to narcotics, and I did that the last 2 years I was at county. I knew ultimately I wanted to end up at Round Rock.
And what years were these?
This was 2013.
Okay.
So I applied, actually 2012. I applied with Round Rock 2012. Got hired on it March 2013. Did patrol for 4 or 5 years. And, you know, what's funny is when I first got there, you know, I don't regret. I think this is the best career move for me was moving to Round Rock. But that first day on patrol, putting that uniform back on after being narcotics, I was like, what did I do?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
But loved it, you know.
Did you live in Bastrop County?
I lived, yes, just outside of Elgin. I was living in Travis County, but right outside of Bastrop County.
Did you? And the reason I'm getting at this is because it was cool for me to see. I worked in a very, very, very small town, like 2,000 population, and in the county even had like 8,000. I mean, this was a very rural area, and I lived and worked in the town that I lived in as a cop, and it was a challenge because I wasn't from the area. I never really fit in. My wife and I couldn't go drink a beer because everybody was kind of staring at you, and you couldn't be yourself. And so when I transitioned over to Marshall PD, to the south of us there, it was like I was able to be a person again. I could flip that switch off and go, you know, be the crazy Tyler that I am and everybody likes, but I couldn't in the town that I lived in. So was it the same with you with Bastrop County living there?
The challenge for me was I grew up out there, right? And so
everybody knew you.
Everybody, you know, and you run into people, and I ended up at one point arresting one of my close friends from high school at the time. This was years later, you know, and there was no animosity, you know. I can remember him in the back seat, you know, saying, I never thought I'd see this day. And I was like, yeah, neither did I, you know, but those were some of the challenges. So moving to Round Rock, it was like, man, nobody knew me here.
No.
I didn't know anybody. And then we ended up moving up to this area. So was on patrol for a little while in Round Rock, moved to training in December of 18, been at training since then. First year and a half kind of helped with everything in the training division, dabbled and stuff, going to get certifications, and then got assigned over our academies. So I've done our academies, you know, the last 5 I did. And then
that's a full, man, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
You mentioned a while ago, y'all have a big one, just like a rodeo, which we're going to dive into, but taking on the responsibility of running an academy, it's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. And I didn't realize it was that much, you know, and it was kind of like, hey, you're going to jump into your partner's hip pocket, take over that position. And it's a lot, just the backside, the admin work and making sure you have all your instructors and your lesson plans and everything ready for TCOL that has to be submitted, right?
Yeah.
All the entry paperwork that, you know, as a new hire, you got to have all your exams and your L2s and your L3s, everything for TCOL. But it's been fun. You know, I like seeing these new cadets come in green and then where they're at graduation and then making it onto our advanced academy and then to FTO and then to see.
It's good to hear that because our profession really is dying in the sense that the interest is lost. I mean, you yourself weren't really interested in law enforcement. David, I think you had some family in law enforcement is what kind of perked your interest back in the day.
We all joined roughly around the same time, within a few years of each other.
But did you have like you knew as a kid, you wanted to be a cop?
Yeah, I knew.
Yeah. And I'll say this too. The show Cops, it was a double-edged sword. You being in Wilco, I'm going to leave it at that because you understand the realization of real-time TV and law enforcement, but it perked the interest of people that necessarily we wouldn't be touching or reaching out to. Right. And so for them to for you to be over the academy and to have that mindset and that passion for it, man, kudos to you and thank you because it means a lot for the next generation of law enforcement officers coming through.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
it's been fun. This year I kind of transitioned to our basic academy. I finished up with a basic academy in they graduated February and had the opportunity to stay with them to their advanced academy because usually pass them off to another trainer and they're over our advanced academy. I had the opportunity to stay with them through the whole thing, which was cool. And then I have actually we've done 4 additional advanced academies this year, which has probably been our busiest year that we've ever done.
Well, and for those that don't know, Round Rock, if you live in DFW, Metroplex, Houston, even East Texas or in the Panhandle or even West Texas, Round Rock, I would consider Round Rock probably a premier agency within the Central Texas area because you guys do so much. It's not just your police academy. You guys have continuing education that you guys house from different agencies that come in. And so the reason I'm going into this is because it's not like you just teach a police academy and then you take 2 months off. You guys have continuing education throughout the department with I'm trying to think of the accreditation through the Texas Police Chiefs Association. Y'all got all these different training aspects that you have to comply with in order to maintain that. And so all that's going on in addition to You're running a full-time academy. So,
Right, yeah.
and a full, talk about your training facility that you guys just got through, what, 2 years ago or a year ago?
We actually opened in August of 2018, which is crazy to think it's been
Oh,
open
wow.
for that long.
It looks phenomenal.
Yeah,
It looks brand new.
Our training facility is, we can do everything in-house other than driving. We've got an indoor range. We have our own tack village with different style houses, 2-story, single-story, different style fences in the back. The inside of the tack village, the houses, we can change the floor plans, change the layout.
Crazy.
Fire, it's a shared facility with the fire department. There's a fire tower there. It's almost like an apartment building, which we can use for active shooters because you have hallways. We have a driving pad, and then we just had a new bond passed, and we will be adding in a standalone academy building. So we've kind of outgrown already the facility. So they will expand our main classroom.
Wow.
And then build us another standalone academy building for PD and fire academies, just to be in that building, and then a driving track.
Jesus Christ. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Nice.
So once the driving track's done, we won't, because right now we drive to Teeks for our academy class.
In San Marcos?
In College Station. Or in
Okay,
Bryan.
that's right. I'm sorry.
And then when we do in-service for driving, we have to drive down there. But once the track's done here, everything can be done on site.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, not that you weren't a busy man before all this, but when did you get thrown into the POA leadership aspect and asked if you wanted to be on the board?
In addition to all of that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is I was walking through the hallway and I saw there's a plaque on the wall for BASE, for Bastrop Association of Sheriff's Employees.
yeah.
And before I left county, I was vice president out there of the association. But
Oh, no kidding.
yeah, it wasn't involved as much as they probably are now. So when I came here, I didn't even have interest in it. And I don't know, one year my name got thrown in for vice president, and I don't know who it was, and I got elected, and that was probably 3-4 years ago.
Opposed, or was it nobody ran against
Yeah,
you?
that's probably why I got it.
Yeah.
Did you know what you were doing?
I didn't, and, the president at the time, she kind of handled everything. And me being the VP was just like, if she was gone, I would kind of help out or fill in, or she'd kind of, hey, I'm not going to be here. Can you take care of this? But she handled everything. And then when I went to become president, which was last year was my first year as president, it's a non-contract year. So it's like, okay, learning new stuff going in, and then jumping into this year being a contract year, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a full-time job on top of your duties already that you have, but we don't get paid for this. But I will say, I just got to highlight Curly, because Curly and Tmpa, just the help that y'all provided us throughout this year, just questions after question after question that I had. And anytime I needed something from Curly, he was right there. Or like you said, if we don't know, we can send a text,
Right,
and then we have an answer.
it doesn't matter what time of day he will answer. And I'm getting to the point now where it's like because he knows I live down here now. Not saying that I didn't know how busy he was, but he sends me like all these invites like come up. And I didn't make the Round Rock thing the other day. We had something going on there down south, but it's like, Curly, like if you want me to show up, just shoot me a text. I don't need to. It is his calendar is booked from the first of the month all the way down to the end. Weekends, it doesn't make a shit. It's not like there's no weekends or days off for this dude. So I'm sure he appreciates it for you recognizing him.
Yeah, every time I call him, he's either at the north part of the state,
Yeah.
or he's down in the valley.
Yeah, you never know where he's going to end up.
He was in Hawaii on vacation. I was like, this doesn't, like, we can talk when we get
We're
back.
good.
He's like, no, I'll handle it now. Let me know what you need. And I'm like, no, Curly, we can wait. So, yeah, just
See, but
shout out to Curly on that.
I don't mind taking care of you guys. I mean, and I'm going to say this, and I've told you guys this. I've told you and your board this. I wish that we can take the passion and the preparedness that his board has put into work, and we can clone that or train that with other POAs, because you and your team are phenomenal. And the way that you guys have actually accepted some help and gone out and done the preparation, you can't just do contracts 30 days before it's
not
due.
at all.
And getting people to understand, getting the other associations to understand, you can take like a month off after it's signed, but now you're in contract prep for the next one.
Yeah, and that's 3 years away, but we've talked about that, like Curly even said, hey, take 30, 60 days off, relax. For me, it's hard, right, because I know things that I want to do in the next contract. And I may not be on the board, but we have to get this ball rolling now to start doing our homework.
Well, and it goes back to the preparation, right? You can't build like political capital or I don't want to say elite association, but you can't build that association within months, weeks, days. It's taken time.
Yes.
It's taken past presidents, past board of directors to develop the standard. And I think the standard is what you are living up to, and but you also want to leave it in a better place.
100%.
And I think that oftentimes we don't have associations across the state that have been active, and so then you get passionate people would be involved, and you're like, hey, they want it done right now, this week, and that just the reality is it doesn't. You can't.
Yeah.
And it sucks because we have to guide some of these people through, and then over time you see some change in leadership within the local association, which is out of our control, and then we're kind of left back at square one. So yeah, kudos to you guys for continuing that drive and that mission and that passion, and really being the example of what a local association should be and will be and continue to be in the success based on that.
Yeah, and I gotta highlight our whole board. Ashley, our vice president, and Cammie is our treasurer, and Blake is our sergeant at arms, and Sam, our secretary. Everybody put in so much work over this year, last year, getting prepared for this, right? Because there's companies out there that will do the work for you, and we looked into one. Now you're going to pay a pretty penny for it, but we sat back and said we can do the work ourselves. It's going to be a lot of work, but we're going to have to do it ourselves. And when I'm saying like open records request on all this stuff for a market study, and I mean, we broke down everything from the cities that we had in our market study to from their population, their tax revenue, the number of officers, their calls for service, starting salary, top out salary, everything in between the averages, and showed where we were at and where we need to be.
And those were done in conjunction with Tmpa, or was
Kurylowicz provided one. You provided one, during the last contract, and then again, and this one, we just kind of jumped in and did it ourselves as well.
They expanded.
I got
like
you.
Crazy.
I got you. Hey, and I think this is a great point to bring up. We get called. When was that done? When was that salary survey done?
We actually started. I would say we got our cities for the survey from city management in March, maybe.
Yeah, it was.
So.
And we're just now finalizing the new
contracts finalized, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
We started meeting March, April.
So we're at 8 months, 7 mons, 7 months ago.
But I want to say we even.
But there was foundation built before that.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So my point is that back to what I said earlier, and we don't mind taking the phone calls, but oftentimes we get calls January 1st, February 1st about needing the contracts right then to get passed. I'm sorry, let me back up. We get calls like October 1st, August 16th, and the new year starting in October. This shit's been going on for 8 months. So drive back to the point that have the mindset that this is a chess game, and this is not a sprint. It's a long distance run. Yeah. And so you guys had that mindset going into it. And so for any local association out there that needs a salary survey, needs the information to move forward to get your pay raises where they need to be at, we need to be involved very early on. January, February is when we need to be thinking about it, and then we can execute it, on down to August, September, October, to get that game plan in place. So if you haven't already, reached out to your local field rep or give us a call, 1-800-848-2088, and we can kind of get that set up. But it's a great point that you made about having the mindset that this is a chess game and go ahead and get it done now versus wait until it's too late.
Right. And, I'm all about the networking, through Tmpa, the conference for us. I'm going to keep highlighting Curly. When I first met Curly, he was just open arms with everything, right? Hey, have y'all done this, done this, done this? What about the conference? And when we went that first year, that networking and you're meeting people, and that helped us later on during these, the preparation for the negotiations, because we needed salaries from different agencies from the DFW area, and we've already met those people, right? So now I have no issues if someone who reaches out and they need information. Here it is. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. I don't mind sharing information with people, because that's how we got a lot of it. Now, we did a lot of open records requests ourselves, but on the other stuff, hey, I know somebody at this agency. I know somebody here, and we get that information pretty easy.
Yeah.
And kudos to Adrian too. That the openness that you've shown to the other presidents out there, the other association leaders. We have new associations changing leadership all the time, but when they reached out to you and they're asking, that's all I hear is how great you were. And, oh yeah, I've talked to Adrian. Georgetown was just telling me, I talked to Adrian and he hooked me up with these documents and gave me another contact for this person. So it's that type of local network that is going to strengthen the entire region and just pay dividends throughout.
Well, I think that's another reason why you had that meeting a couple weeks ago, and we're seeing the benefits of it now. But we also had created it, 6 months before that?
Yeah.
And so we're going to continue those. Hopefully, kind of branch those out. I know North Texas have had some in the past. I wasn't involved with those or attended them. We're obviously seeing the success of it here in Central Texas. So, communication, it's key.
Yeah.
And so it works. So,
and I would say for those meetings that we've had, if there's any associations out there that hadn't attended or, they've thought about going but couldn't make it, show up because that's where those connections are made. And then the advice, just learning from other agencies, other associations, and for us, the big thing last time was we each got up to talk about how we got to that point in the contract negotiations and what were the relationships were like for us. Building like you said earlier, that political capital, right,
Yep.
with your people, and it can't happen 2 months before. When we first became a board a year or 2 years ago, and I'm not saying this association started, but the current people on the board, we need to go to these chamber events. We need to buy tables. We need to sponsor them because we need to start meeting people out here, your council members, your mayor, everyone else. You build those relationships because in the end, it's going to pay off for you.
100%. Yeah, I couldn't have said it even better. You guys, it's funny that this just happened. Our deputy executive director, Mitch Landry, you and him were talking, and Mitch was asking about, hey, what's the difference in y'all's foundation and charity? Speaking of different facets that Round Rock POA's got, they've got charities and they got foundation. Talk about the difference between the two and the need of why Round Rock POA has those available to its members and what the benefits of them are.
Yeah, I'll touch on I'll start with our foundation first, right? So the foundation, Round Rock Police Foundation, is not, I don't want to say it's not part of the police department. It's an outside entity, but you have members on the board from the police department. Business owners in the city are on the board. And the idea behind that came years ago when Chief wanted the foundation created to help raise funds for our different events throughout the year that the PD puts on, from Operation Blue Santa to Step Into Success, which
great program.
That has grown every year. I think we gave out 400 and something pairs of shoes this year. Right before
That's
school.
awesome.
Our BPOC graduations, we have at Kalahari, and our award ceremonies we have at Kalahari. The foundation raises funds for that, and that's how that's paid for. Right? That doesn't come out. The city doesn't pay for that. That comes from the foundation. And there's a bunch of other things that they pay for throughout the year.
And that's kind of a reflection of the support you're getting from the community.
Oh, 100%. Community around Rock, loves police departments.
Well, I think it's a great time to talk about the Step Into Success and how it was created, because the story behind it is just phenomenal.
Yeah, Chief Richards came up with the idea years ago. He had someone at church who needed some shoes, and this idea popped into his head and started, what if we can give back right before school starts? Because we used to have an event, it was a back-to-school program, and we would give out backpacks full of supplies and haircuts for kids, all that was going on. COVID it died down, and then this kind of transitioned into Step Into Success. So we were able to provide that to, shoes to 400 kids plus, and that's an event at Kalahari. Kalahari jumps in. They give out free wristbands for the water park to families that are there that they can use throughout the year. So a lot of good stuff for them.
That's cool. And for those that don't know, Kalahari it's a phenomenal place. What would you compare it to? What's the place in Grapevine?
Great Wolf.
Great Wolf, yeah, but like on steroids. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's massive. It's clean, and not saying the Great Wolf's not, but it's just an awesome place.
Yeah,
very friendly environment.
Yep. And they've been great to us.
Yeah, they have been,
especially helping out with Step Into Success. So association is different from that. We have our association for our members. Round Rock's probably sitting at we're allotted 209 officers right now. We have to fill some positions, but we have 165 members right now out of about 85 positions that are filled. So not bad,
Yeah.
We always want to grow that. And then we have our charities account. So our charities account is, that money is separate, and we donate to different charities in the city, whether that's Team Brock, which is a cure for cancer charity. CP Thrivers is another one within our city that we donate to. Senior Access is a company. They kind of help the Round Rock, Pflugerville area, and that's when seniors get to a point where maybe they can't drive anymore or their license gets taken away, but they still have to go get groceries. They got to go get their hair done or whatever it is, and people volunteer to drive them, so we donate to them. There's so many, we help out with Blue Santa, Hope Alliance in Georgetown. There's so many different charity scholarships. We have the Charles White's Foundation Scholarship, and then we give scholarships to every high school in the city of Round Rock, up to $1,000.
Which is how many now?
We have 3 in the city. There's 5 total. Three of them are in the city of Round Rock. Yeah, there's 2 of them outside the city, which is McNeil and Westwood. Or I don't know if that McNeil is considered the city of Austin, but it's a Round Rock school.
Wow.
Yeah.
If I can dovetail on that, one of the last times that we were meeting Round Rock, the association, because of how successful they've been, they're talking about actually upping some of their scholarships for the kids.
That's cool.
And in this day and age, with the lack of people wanting to get into law enforcement, I mean, what better way to try and reach out to the community and nurture those that are looking to have careers in law enforcement? And, like yourself in particular, you talked about how you got into this because of a ride-along. There's kids out there that are undecided, and who knows, man, that scholarship you may be grooming the next chief of Round Rock Police Department.
Those investments that we start now within the community go a long way. We started 2 summers ago an AC program where we wanted to partner with the local business in the city. So we partnered, I'll give them a shout out, Roosters Ace Hardware in Round Rock, and went and bought window units so that we could give to families in the city during the summer who may not have central air, and Roosters said, you know what, we'll match what y'all are buying. So we've been able to give out air conditioning units to different families in the city. And they ask, do we need to give it back? No, this is yours. Keep it, So that's been helpful for us doing that.
That's awesome.
What's interesting is that any POA can make such an impact on making those kind of donations and having a positive impact on families. But what some people don't know is that, Round Rock may be what it is right now with all the growth and the new, but it's also got some, I don't want to say hood, but it's got some older parts in it that is economically challenged. And so it's kind of hidden, right? And so people don't see that. They're like, man, it's still got some rough spots. It's still got some spots that need some help, that needs that big time community policing. And so you guys are able to go in there and kind of help out those areas and make a positive influence.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of the community policing that, Chief Banks brought in when he got here has helped tremendously with us. And the association just kind of fed off of that as well, just doing different events.
Well, and speaking of Chief Banks, I was overwhelmed with how supportive. You guys have an event coming up next year. I don't have the specific dates. I can probably pull them up on my phone. But like the motorcycle rodeo, man, I've never in my life seen a city, not just at the department, the administrative level, but the city hall, the whole police department, fire department was helping out. And it's cool to see a city that embraces that, because in all reality, the city's the one that reaps the benefits from it. Right. And you guys are having the motorcycle rodeo coming up, that we're going to be involved in that too. But man, what a cool thing to see that a chief is okay with setting his ego aside and being well a part of something that benefits his community that he serves. So talk about the motorcycle rodeo if you got the dates, and talk about where we can find more information out and when that will be available.
Yeah, so last year was the first year for the motorcycle rodeo. It's held at the Dale Diamond in the parking lot there. Last year we had a little over 100 submissions. I think there was close to 120, but people had to drop out for whatever reason. And that's throughout the state. There was actually some from out of state as well that were there. Tmpa was a big help with us, and Curly, and and Tim coming in and bringing the smoker to help us cook. But Chief is, fully supportive on that. And not only Chief, the council members, the mayor, and that's not just that event. You'll see them at every event in the city all the time. And it's great to have that support from them. This year's event is going to be February 26th through March 1st. And you can go to the website, Scotmr, SCOTMR.com, and they'll have registration on there and all the information on if you want to sign up or a team wants to sign up for that.
Yeah, Curly called me the other day, and he's like, hey, man, get off your ass and get some of these videos shot. We got to get this thing up and going. And so I'm looking forward to coming up there and meeting Taylor and meeting some of those motor guys and putting some cameras on those guys. Me and Curly are going to work with them and get some of those promo videos pushed out. But I'm looking forward to it. It was a great time to be up there last year to see the success and see the different departments, not just within Texas, but across the country that have really come and flocked into Round Rock and the location. For those that don't know, Del Diamond right there, the Round Rock Express, all the facilities up there, man, it's beautiful. Yeah. It's cool to see, all that stuff kind of come together and benefit our local law enforcement here in Central Texas.
Yeah, for sure. And not only, you have the Del Diamond, but then across the street is Kalahari.
Yeah.
So if families want to travel, and you can go to the water park there.
I may or may not try to stay at Kalahari.
Yeah.
For the weekend. Don't tell anybody.
I know a guy.
You do? Okay, yeah. You guys had an event there too, and we had Robert McCabe. Shout out to Robert McCabe for doing the. He hosted like a hospitality night, and it's great to see. For the sadly, typically the only time that our members see the attorneys is like on their worst day, and so David had kind of the mindset of like, hey, he hollered at Robert and said, hey, why don't you come out and do this hospitality? Of course, Robert was all about that, and so Robert did a hospitality night and got to meet members of Round Rock POA, as well as other members that were traveling in for the motorcycle rodeo. And so shout out to Robert McKay for doing that. Don't know if he's going to do it this year. I'm sure he will. Yeah, I'm sure he will. So I also provided some notepads and some cool shit, some cool swag. I think you got one. It's just a cool event. It's almost like back to conference, it's almost like a family reunion. You show up to conference, you see faces like you and I 2 years ago. I saw the face when he walked in. I was like, I know that guy. You and I recognize each other. But it's good to have those secondary follow-ups. It's almost like a Thanksgiving lunch, right. So it's good to see those.
And the camaraderie is amazing. These cops come in from they're in far reaches areas across the state, and they all come together, and it's just like a reunion. And to see that and the networking that happens there, if you know motor cops and they're interested, have them reach out and come join the fun.
Well, and what's funny is that in law enforcement, you get all these different, you were a narcotics cop, there's motor cops, there's SWAT guys, and they all have different personality traits that kind of just fit. And the motor cops they're exactly the same.
You were a motor cop, weren't you?
I was a motor cop, yeah. And so it's just being around those guys and seeing them. They could talk for hours about bikes. They could talk about the new age of Harleys, what's better, what's not. And so it's cool to see. It's cool to sit back, and now that I'm out of law enforcement, sit back and you can immediately identify who's in what, clique, right? But it's cool. It's cool for them to sit back and listen to the conversations that go on between motor cops and talk about the different aspect. Were you a motor cop?
No.
You can be a part of the club.
Our giveaway that we did, our best giveaway that we did was microfiber cleaning cloths because they were all out there shining their bikes.
Yeah, that's right. It'll spit shine.
Everybody was like, that's all.
This year we're gonna make spray bottles in addition to the towels.
Everybody gets a spray bottle.
Yeah. So if you know anybody that wants to donate some quick shine, give us a shout. Give me or David a shout, and we're gonna make that happen. So, anything today that you wanted to talk about that we didn't cover?
I want to touch just real quick about on the motorcycle rodeo. So if people don't want to stay at Kalahari or whatever, La Quinta is the host hotel, which is the parking lots are attached to the Del Diamond.
Walking distance.
Yeah. So registration open October 1st. Wilco D is going to be a big sponsor again. We'll be out there to help out like we did last year, cooking for the riders, our members, and then even our staff. There was so much staff that went out there and helped out because so much goes into it. And Tmpa was great to help us with that last year.
So Tmpa does. We follow. I think your vice president Ashley. Mm-hmm. Y'all were at a gala last weekend or 2 weekends ago.
She was at the Lakeway.
Okay. Yep. And that, again, the networking aspect and benefiting each other and talking about the social media stuff. You guys are pretty out there with social media. And you guys put stuff out there. Talk about the benefits of having a social media presence and the benefits of networking with each other and promoting each other in such a way because it's our message. And I will tell you right now, for those that don't know, if you're in law enforcement, whether it be a police department, association, whatever, social media platforms, Facebook, I'm calling you out, Mark Zuckerberg, they decrease our algorithm. And so if we don't connect together and stand together and unite, then our shit's going to be pushed to the bottom of and we can't push our message out there. So talk about the benefits of social media just real quick and talk about the network aspect of that.
Yeah, for us, it's been great, and I think any association that can push out on social media, it's great, and the connections that you make. For me and for us, it's just also getting ideas. What you see other associations do, and then same for us. If somebody says, hey, how did you go about doing this for the community or whatever it was, I don't mind sharing because we're all in this together, right?
Yep.
But that's been tremendous for us to put that out there on social media and to use the different platforms.
Yeah.
We've always had Facebook and Instagram, and then I call it the Bird app, Twitter, right? It's called X now, but for us even to do, to hop on there, to have that presence on Twitter, because some people use Twitter, they may not use Instagram or Facebook. Some people use just Instagram, they don't use Facebook, right? So I think that you need to spread out on all different platforms.
Yeah, I agree. And for those that don't know, I read an article the other day that you need to have that little blue check mark next to your stuff on Twitter. Otherwise, your stuff, be verified because your stuff will get dwindled down. It goes back to Elon Musk and his credibility with trying to get people not to get the scam accounts and that kind of stuff. So if you haven't already, your local POA president leadership role, go ahead and get your X account, not Twitter. Get your account set up. It's crucial because I think that we're transitioning. Facebook, let's just for all intents and purposes, is for your older crowd in law enforcement. And so now Instagram is becoming more of the thing, and so is X. And so those two right now are kind of going neck and neck. YouTube as well. So, and of course, we're touching on all those platforms. But, man, it's been a pleasure having you on. Kudos to you guys. Hats off for what you guys do on a daily basis. It really is the example of kind of what local association leadership should be and looks like. And so I know David just he praises y'all all the time when we have, department meetings and field rep meetings and stuff like that. So congratulations. I appreciate it.
And I appreciate that. And I've told Curly before and messaged him, and it's not just from our board, our entire association membership appreciates Curly and the help that y'all provide. And they've said that over and over and over.
That's awesome.
So thank y'all for everything.
Absolutely. Curly, you got anything else? You probably got some POA. We're probably late for one of your other POA leadership meetings or something going on.
Probably driving to the Panhandle.
Yeah, I got to haul ass to El Paso, guys. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
And then to Brownsville tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have you on, man. It's good to have you on. It's great to have you on. We need to have you on more often. So, if you've watched our podcast, you understand that we do some rapid fire questions. Did you study?
No.
All right. What's your favorite line from a cop movie, your favorite cop movie, your favorite cop car, and your favorite drink of choice when you are relaxing?
So many good. I think there's a lot of good cop movies.
There are.
I'm not going to throw a single line out there, but Training Day is probably at the top of the list.
Yep.
And also, not so much cop movie, but there is a cop in the movie. I mean, Russell Crowe in American Gangster.
It's a great movie.
The Departed. Yeah. I mean, I could just go. The Departed. Departed's up there. There's just so many good ones.
Yeah.
Cop car. Obviously, I started in a Crown Vic.
The workhorse.
But I wouldn't say that's my favorite. I like the way the new Explorers handle. I'm a driving instructor, so I know that. But the EcoBoost ones that they have, the Explorer models.
Okay, I'm just going to say I'm not upset with you. I'm just disappointed.
I just
Crown Vic, man.
I liked it. I did like I liked it. That's what I had. But the handling on those Explorers, now it needs to be the EcoBoost. If it's not EcoBoost, and same thing with the Tahoes. Whenever you hit the gas, you're not moving anywhere.
No, they're so heavy. Yeah, so heavy. Favorite drink of choice?
You talking alcoholic? No.
Oh yeah, alcoholic, baby, all day.
I love beer, but I also like a good tequila, just a sip of tequila.
Really?
Extra Añejo. There's one. There's several that I like, but like Extra Añejo just on a rock.
Wow. That's that'll put hair in your chest right there.
They're so good. Like the ones that are really good,
are meant for sipping.
Yeah, and they're almost like it's almost like some of them are like a dessert. There's one out there called Adictivo. That's not a shout out to them, but if they want sponsor,
we're open to
it. It's so good. The first time I had it, it was almost like it's like a dessert
after
your dinner or something.
I'm about to try that out.
Yeah.
I'm hit the liquor store after this and go get some.
Tyler's going to roll his eyes, but my drink of choice, Diet Coke.
Diet Coke.
Yeah. No, Curly's not a drinker, and when he does, we have to tape him down to a chair because he is a dancing machine.
Oh.
So for those out there that hang out with Curly on the side, you buy him one drink, you better be ready because he is going to dance the night away.
I'm a cheap date.
Hey, appreciate you coming on, man. You too, Curly. It's great to have you guys on. Great to highlight the work that we do across the state, but right here in Central Texas, you guys do a great job. Curly, got anything else?
No, thank you for coming, man.
No, thank y'all for having me down here.
When can people that are watching this podcast get some information about the Peace Officer Memorial and what the dates are going to be that's going to be coming up and our kind of responsibility in that?
So just to round out, the Peace Officer Memorial is going to be held on the last Sunday of April.
Okay.
I believe it's going to be the 27th.
Okay.
And they can always go to the website, Texas Peace Officer Memorial, and find the information up there. We are well in the swing of things. We're having our next meeting in a couple days to finalize some of the memorialized names.
Good.
And more information will be pushed out this coming January.
And for those who've never gone, man, I strongly encourage you to go. This year, we're going to try to do a little things different with live streaming it, so that way people who can attend or that have never attended, they'll be able to watch that. And so we're going to work with other organizations that are part of the planning of that, and so trying to make that happen. That way people can see live what's going on. So
yes,
looking forward to that.
Yeah, and just touching on that Peace Officer Memorial, and this is something that we do, and I know we're trying to wrap up here, but if other associations, to just throw an idea out there, we send 2 of our members to Police Officer Week every year. We cover their airfare, their hotel for the time that they're out there. Right?
The association covers it.
Association does.
That's
it doesn't
awesome.
come from the city or anything like that. We do that for our members. So that's
That's to DC as well.
To DC, yeah. This is
Wow.
to DC, yeah.
that's huge. Please, if you're an association out there, please look into doing that. And can they reach out to you if they have questions? Logistics?
It matters for them, for the attendees, and it's a cool way to give back and to kind of have that good feeling about yourself. But I'll tell you who it matters to: the fallen families
Yes.
that are sitting there watching and seeing everybody around there and seeing the hundreds and hundreds of people on that lawn as their loved ones' names are read across. That's what it matters, and that's where it matters, and that's truly where the heart and soul goes into these type of memorial services. And so, kudos to you guys for doing that. Again, on a local level, for you guys to have the mindset of doing that, it's phenomenal. And it's praiseworthy. So we appreciate it. So, well, this about wraps up this one. You guys take care. Stay safe. God bless you. And as always, may God bless Texas. We're out.